The bus doors hiss open. Empty street, no headlights but mine. A paper taped behind the driver flutters in the stale air. The letters are blocky, smeared, but I can still read the first line. Welcome to Route 13. Follow the rules. The driver doesn't look back, and the engine growls like it's been waiting. You're listening to Murmurs and Mysteries, where some routes don't take you home, they take you further. If you enjoy wandering into the dark with me, a sub would mean a lot. Now, let's return to our story. I missed my train. The station lights were already cutting out, one by one, when I spotted the bus idling at the curb. Route 13. Hand-painted numbers crooked on the sign. The driver wore a peaked cap pulled low, didn't speak, just opened the doors with a sigh of air. Inside, maybe a dozen passengers, all staring forward. No chatter, no coughs, no shuffle of bags, just the rumble of the engine waiting for me. I took a seat halfway down the aisle. The cushions were cracked vinyl, warm like someone had just left. A strip of yellow paper was taped to the back of the driver's seat. The ink was faded, but I leaned forward and read. Rules of travel, Route 13. 1. Don't sit in the first 3 rows. They're reserved. 2. If you see someone outside waving, don't wave back. 3. Never ask the driver where you're going. 4. When your stop is called, look around first. If no one else moves, stay seated. 5. If the lights go out, close your eyes until they return. There were more rules, but the paper was torn halfway down. I looked around the bus. The first 3 rows were empty. Everyone else stared straight ahead, eyes fixed on the windshield, like it was showing something I couldn't see. The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror, or at least I thought he did. His eyes looked too dark to catch the light. The bus lurched forward. The doors shut with a hiss, and Route 13 carried us into streets I didn't recognize. The bus rattled through streets I didn't know. Shops with boarded windows. Houses with curtains drawn tight. No cars. No people. Just the hollow hum of the engine. At 12:17, the brakes hissed. The bus eased to a stop beside a lamppost that flickered like it was drowning in water. A man stood on the curb, or something shaped like one. His coat hung too long. His face was pale, blurred by the dirty glass. But his arm rose smooth as clockwork, and he began to wave. Not a lazy wave, an insistent one, side to side, directly at me. I froze. My throat dried. The paper with the rules scratched against the back of my mind. If you see someone outside waving, don't wave back. No one else reacted. The other passengers didn't move, didn't blink. Their gazes stayed forward, fixed on nothing. The figure's arm kept moving, faster now, desperate. I gripped the seat in front of me, knuckles pale. Every instinct screamed to raise my hand, to wave back, to prove I wasn't alone. The bus doors stayed shut, The driver didn't move. The wave grew frantic, almost angry, like it needed me to acknowledge it. And then, all at once, the lamppost went dark. The man was gone. The bus jolted forward, tires hissing against wet asphalt. I sat back, shaking. My reflection in the window blurred with the streetlights, pale and stretched. For a moment, I thought I was still out there, waving. The passengers didn't look at me, but I swear their heads tilted, ever so slightly, toward the aisle. The bus rocked steady, engine droning like a lullaby I didn't want to hear. Street signs blurred past, names I didn't recognize. Not even English, just symbols, carved into metal like scratches. I leaned into the aisle. "Hey," I whispered to the man across from me. He didn't blink, didn't move. His eyes glistened, wide open, fixed on the windshield. My voice felt too loud, so I tried again, softer. "Do you know where this route goes?" The driver's head twitched, just once. That paper with the rules pressed against my thoughts like a warning. Never ask the driver where you're going. I swallowed the rest of my question, but the bus answered anyway. From the intercom above my seat, a voice crackled, metallic, hollow. Not the driver's, not human. "Next stop, know where you belong." My stomach turned cold. The lights along the ceiling flickered, buzzing like flies. For a moment, the aisle went pitch black. I shut my eyes. Hard. Rule 5. If the lights go out, close your eyes until they return. The hum deepened, vibrating through my teeth. I counted my breaths. 1, 2, 3. Then the light snapped back. Every passenger's head had shifted, just slightly, now angled toward me. Their mouths were closed, but their jaws trembled as if grinding teeth. The driver's hand stayed steady on the wheel, but in the rearview mirror, his mouth was moving. No sound, just lips shaping a word again and again. Mine. The bus hissed and slowed. Brakes squealing, doors sighing, a neon sign buzzed outside the window. Maple and 5th. That was near my apartment, my stop, but the street outside didn't look right. The buildings leaned too tall, windows too dark. Every storefront shuttered, every lamppost flickering like it was running on a dying pulse. The intercom crackled. Next stop, subject 12. My chest locked. That was me. I clutched the seat and half rose, ready to bolt. But then my eyes darted to the rules. Rule 4, when your stop is called, look around first. If no one else moves, stay seated. No one else stirred. The passenger sat frozen, neck stiff, eyes forward. I glanced back at the driver. His cap shadowed his face, but in the mirror his teeth glistened faintly, as if smiling. The doors remained open. A cold draft slid down the aisle, carrying a smell like wet metal. Then came the sound, feet, heavy ones, climbing the bus steps. I didn't turn my head. I didn't breathe. Something stood in the doorway, its shadow stretched long across the aisle, reaching rows it shouldn't have. The lights dimmed, buzzing angry. The doors groaned shut. The bus lurched forward again. The shadow slid back out into the dark like it had been peeled away. Only then did the passengers all exhale at once, a long, low hiss like the bus itself had been holding its breath. I sat down hard, nails digging crescents into the seat. The intercom whispered one more thing before going silent. "Good passenger." The paper crinkled every time the bus hit a bump, taunting me with the first rule. One, don't sit in the first 3 rows they're reserved. I hadn't seen anyone use them. Every ride so far, the rows stayed spotless. No scuffs, no wear, like the seats had never been touched. But as the night dragged on, I couldn't stop staring at them. The vinyl gleamed faintly under the weak ceiling lights. Perfect, untouched, waiting. I leaned forward, gripping the seat in front of me. Just one step, I thought, just to see. The bus jolted hard. The intercom fizzed alive. Remain seated. My throat closed. I sat back down, heart racing. But then I noticed something I hadn't before. The headrests. Indentations pressed into them. 3 deep grooves on each, like fingernails had been dug in hard. And above them, faint smears on the ceiling, brown, almost black, drips trailing backward, as though something had hung upside down from the roof. I blinked, shook my head, told myself it was dirt. Then the bus hit another bump, and for a split second, the first row wasn't empty. A shape slumped there, long arms spilling into the aisle, jaw too wide, teeth catching the light like broken glass. The lights flickered. The row was empty again. The passengers hadn't moved, but their necks had all tilted forward, the exact same angle. Heads bowed, like they were acknowledging someone in front. I couldn't breathe. I stared down at my hands, knuckles white, afraid to look again. The intercom clicked once more, softer this time, almost a whisper. "You almost broke the rule." The bus groaned uphill, engine rattling like old bones. Outside, the streetlights thinned until the only glow was the ceiling strips above us. I tried not to think about the first 3 rows, or the shadow that had tried to board earlier, or the driver's teeth glimmering in the mirror. But the rules didn't let me rest. My eyes kept darting to the list taped behind the driver's seat. Words etched into my mind now. Rule 5. If the lights go out, close your eyes until they return. The ceiling lights flickered once, twice, and then died. Pitch black. I squeezed my eyes shut. My hands shook against the vinyl seat. The bus still moved. I could feel the sway, the tires on asphalt. But the air had changed. Too heavy, too warm, like someone had filled the aisle with bodies that hadn't been there before. Something brushed my sleeve. A hand, or the memory of one, cold and damp. I clenched my jaw, fighting not to look. Another touch on my ankle. A weight pressing against my shoulder, leaning in, breath, hot, rotten, inches from my face. The passengers stayed silent, but I could hear mouths opening, wet, deliberate, tongues clicking against teeth. Dozens of them, too close. My body screamed to open my eyes. But the rule was clear. I counted the seconds. 1, 2, 3. The bus jolted. The lights buzzed back to life. I snapped my eyes open. The rows were empty again. The passengers still faced forward, heads stiff, but every single one of them now had damp streaks running down their cheeks, as if something had just dragged its fingers across their faces. My sleeve was wet. The intercom crackled once more. A single word, distorted, obedient. The ride stretched longer than any route I'd ever known. Streets bled together, signs warped into symbols, the windows showing only shapes that moved like buildings but weren't. At each stop, someone left. Not stood, not walked. Just gone. One moment there, the next their seat was empty. Warm vinyl, and nothing else. By the sixth stop, half the bus had vanished. By the seventh, only 3 remained. Me, a man in a gray coat staring forward with dead eyes, and subject 14. The number glowed faintly on her wristband, the only thing that told me she was still human. The intercom hissed. Next up, almost home. The man in gray was gone before I could blink. I turned to 14, desperate. Do you see this? Do you hear it? Her lips parted, dry and cracked, but her voice wasn't hers when it came out. It was the bus, metallic, hollow. Don't sit in the first 3 rows. She vanished. I was alone. The driver's cap tilted in the mirror, but his eyes weren't his anymore. They were too wide, too dark, swallowing the glass. The paper behind him flapped in the stale air. The rules I'd read before were gone, replaced with one final line scrawled in fresh ink. When you are the last passenger, move forward. The aisle stretched longer than it should have, seats repeating into a tunnel of cracked vinyl and shadows. The first 3 rows waited, and this time they weren't empty. The paper behind the driver fluttered like it was breathing. When you are the last passenger, move forward. The bus slowed. No signs, no city. Just dark glass outside. I stood. The aisle stretched longer than it should. The first 3 rows waited, perfect vinyl glowing under weak lights. Step 1. The intercom clicked. Good passenger. Step 2. The air warmed, breath slid across my cheek. Step 3, and I saw them. Indentations in headrests, smears on the ceiling. For a second, shapes hung from the racks above. Arms too long, jaws too wide. Faces all staring forward. The rule said move forward. So I did. I sat. The seat clung. Invisible belts pressed across my chest, heavy and cold. The intercom purred. Reserved. In the mirror, the driver finally turned. No face, just absence. He walked past without touching the floor, stopped beside me, and set his cap on my head. Ink bled across the rule sheet. 8. When you are the last passenger, take the driver's seat. My voice came through the intercom, metallic and hollow. Next stop. Almost home. The faceless figure slipped out the back door into nothing. The doors at the front hissed open. A new street appeared, a real stop. Rain on asphalt, neon buzzing. A figure waited, blinking in the light. They climbed aboard, staring at the empty rows, at me in the cap. I wanted to warn them. Don't wave. Don't ask. Don't look. But the intercom spoke first, my voice wearing the words like a uniform. Welcome to Route 13. Follow the rules. The doors closed. The engine growled, and Route 13 carried us into streets they wouldn't recognize.